Hello and welcome, this is Rooflemonger, and this is my tips and tricks guide for Captain Ginyu in Season 3 of Dragon Ball FighterZ. So, I want to say before anything else, I want to give a big shout out to one Lord DoubleLL, as he was a big help with this guide, gave me a lot of pertinent info as he's a Ginyu Lord himself. And with that said, also, like all tips guides, this is going to be a longer one, so check the video description, check the top pinned comment for timestamps if you want to skip around, as we'll going over just all sorts of aspects of the character. Now with that said here, we're going to start with the basic special stuff here, but as for the Ginyu Force calls, that's going to be its own section as we're going to go over every single Ginyu Force member. So let's talk about the special and super moves for Ginyu before we get to the showstoppers, which are the Ginyu Force and the old body swap. So first up here, his first special move is Strong Jersey, which is the shoulder. That's quarter circle forward and light, medium, or heavy. And this move, Arrow Cage, just so you know, it's mostly combo fodder in that you will be using it in combos quite a bit. And the big thing about it is you are allowed to cancel the recovery of your move into a Ginyu Force call. Doesn't matter who is up next. Could be Guldo, could be Recoome, could be Jeice, could be Burter. Doesn't matter. You can just say, okay, I'm not going to deal with that recovery, and I'm just going to go right into a Ginyu Force call. And that is super key, not only for pressure, but also for his general combo structure. And of course, check the end of the video for the companion combo guide as well. But yeah, so the move itself is combo fodder, yes, but it is the backbone of everything he does. Ginyu does have one base level 1 super, the Powerful Energy Wave, aka the Milky Cannon. So what's unique about this here is you can actually hold it. So that's the base version right there. And if we hold down the button here, you can see it kind of zooms in, right? And each time it zooms in, it takes an additional bar, and you will be doing extra damage. Now, one thing to note about this specifically, so when you are doing a combo, the base minimum damage of the move is 800, right? And that's kind of stock, not too high, maybe a little lower than average actually. But when you hold it, it will deal additional damage because, hey, it's burning additional bar. And at minimum scaling, each additional charge will give you an extra 300 damage. So if you have your teammates up, it is absolutely much more advantageous for you to call the next character for them to do their super, as it'll do a lot more damage in the end. However, if Ginyu's the only character, or if you got a lot of extra bar to dump or whatever before, because you can just go 1, 2, 3, then do it, then call the next guy, right? So if you got a lot of bar to dump or Ginyu's the only option, that's the only time you should really be going for it. Because an extra 300 damage for a bar, like, your basic jab is 400, right? So you're not even getting that much extra damage. So just beware on that. Don't use the extra bar if you don't have to. Ginyu also has a traditional level 3 super. He never used to. This was added actually in Season 3. So he has the body swap and he has this as his level 3 supers. Before, if you want to burn bar and get damage, your only option was the charged up Milky Cannon. But now, hey, he's got a cool little thing, summons all the Ginyu Force. And you do get some Oki afterwards, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the video. So yeah, you get level 3, you get your hard knockdown, you get your damage. It wasn't something he had up until Season 3, so definitely it's awesome for him to have it now. Alright, so now let's talk about the main event for Captain Ginyu, which is, of course, the Ginyu Force. So this is a very unique mechanic. No one else really has anything like this, as he summons all 4 characters. Now, a couple quick notes here before we go into character-specific detail. One, it is always a rotation. So when the match starts, you will always start with Guldo. And you will always then follow to Recoome, always then go into Burter, always then go to Jeice, and then afterwards goes right back to Guldo. This rotation is fixed. So you can go a whole 2 characters before you get the Ginyu, doesn't matter. You can have Recoome up next, kill the character. Next character definitely will be Burter. It won't reset. This is a hard rotation, so you absolutely have to memorize it. Also, another thing to note, hitting Ginyu does not make the Ginyu Force members go away. In a lot of other fighting games, usually if you have something on the screen like that, if you hit the character summoned it, it goes away. Not in this case. You actually have to hit that Ginyu Force member for the Ginyu Force member to go away. Otherwise, they're on the screen, they're going to do what they're going to do. So if, say, a classic setup here, Ginyu's in front of you, but Recoome's behind him, making Ginyu get hit does not stop Recoome from blasting you. So just a heads up on that. All the Ginyu Force calls have 3 different options to pull from, and with that, let's start with Guldo. So first up here, Guldo, his standing S. he throws a big old rock at your face, and yes, this rock does have some limited tracking, so it will do its best to try to follow where the enemy is, although it's not going to be a guarantee, let's put it that way. Now, that said, also, it is, even though you're using your basic Ki Blast button, it is not a weak projectile, so if you try to homing dash through it, turns out not going to work out in your favor. It is more of a proper projectile in that manner, so very good for just general screen control, has combo ability uses, also some pressure stuff in the corner as well. Now, the Guldo Paralyze. So we get two versions here. If you do quarter circle forward and your Ki Blast button, he will be closer to the enemy, he'll be further out in the screen, and if you do quarter circle back in S, he'll be closer to Ginyu when he gets summoned. Either way, the Paralyze is amazing. Holds the enemy in place for a long time. Also, it's one of the very few ways to guarantee a body swap, just so you know. And also very strong on block, on pressure, and all that kind of stuff. Guldo is where a lot of the magic happens with Ginyu. Starting with that Paralyze, block or not. You know, if they block, then whatever. We're going to step 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? A lot of the building blocks of Ginyu pressure are all on the back of Guldo's Paralyze. So, moving on to Recoome. First up here, stand S is the Recoome knee, and he'll blast you with that knee and it wall splats. And from that wall splat, yes, you can convert, so you can get a combo after that wall splat. Now, one thing that's interesting about him here is after the initial startup here, he actually is immune to basic Ki Blasts. He will just go through them pretty as you please, right? So if the enemy is going to be tossing those your way, then Recoome, well, he can go right through it, as you see right there. Now, that said, Recoome is not invincible to them at the very start of the move. So he will get blasted if you're a little slow or if the enemy's just really spamming, right? But it is a neat little fact about the move. Quarter circle forward S gives you the Recoome Eraser Beam. And this is also another cornerstone key move for Ginyu, just so you know. It's very good, and that is a beam. And you recover before it goes off, right? So while the enemy doesn't want to get beamed on, you can still move, you can challenge them. If you get hit, it doesn't stop Recoome in any way, shape, or form. The damage is also very good. And just the screen control is just something else. Like, yo, it's a very big beam and it goes all the way, right? Very important to pressure, very important to combo structure. Just really, really good all around. Quarter circle back in S is the Recoome Miracle Bomber. And as you can see here, he takes a hot second to get where he's going with this, right? But it causes a massive explosion, not quite full screen, just so you know. So if he's all the way over here, unfortunately, Goku will not get hit. Doesn't hit the whole screen. It hits a lot of the screen, but not the whole screen. And you can see nothing so much there, right? But one thing that's very interesting about it is he has very strong defensive properties while doing it. So while he's over here, not only does, basic Ki Blast not hurt him, he's immune to all projectiles. So even big boy beams go clear through him. So he's on the screen until you actually physically go there and bop him yourself, right? And in the corner, or if you're just otherwise trying to protect them, it can be somewhat difficult for the enemy to do exactly that, right? So pound for pound, you're generally going to be, when Recoome's up, the Eraser Beam is what you want. But if you're looking to have a little fun, or if you got the enemy in a very disadvantageous position, the Miracle Bomber is just a big threat that this is coming, and it can be difficult to deal with. Next up is Burter. So Burter, his stand S, it summons a flurry kick here. And unlike, say, Guldo and unlike Recoome, if you are in the air when you do the call, he will match you in the air. The other two just stay on the ground. So you get a bunch of extra utility for combos and all that kind of fun stuff with it. So as it stands, it's really good. It's strong and neutral because it eats up a lot of real estate here. You can convert afterwards if you didn't screw up like I just did. Good in block strings. It's just good everywhere. There's nothing. This move is fantastic. Nothing much more to say than that, honestly. It just is an all-around winner. Next up for the circle forward S is Burter controlling the skies. Now, what's interesting here is he's always going to try to be just directly above the enemy's head. So if the enemy tries to jump, they get smacked. And if they try to be further up in the air, it'll try to match them. Like, it's not going to be perfect tracking, but as you can see, it'll try to match them in the air. Very good for combo structure, and very good just for very much creating a no-fly zone, right? Not being able to jump limits a lot of your offense in Dragon Ball FighterZ, and if you know Burter's above you, any stray hit can turn into Ginyu homing dashing, into conversion, and you just lost your character, so it can be scary to deal with. Quarter circle back S is the same deal, except he goes on the ground. Now on the ground, he only goes back and forth twice, just because it's pretty strong to control the ground as well. In the air, it's 4 times. On the ground, it's 2 times. But otherwise, it works in much the same way. And finally, Jeice. So first up here, basic S is the Crusher Ball. And it is a weak projectile, just so you know, so you can homing dash through it and all that kind of stuff. But it's very strong in terms of combo ability, as if the enemy is in the air when it connects, it'll just spike them all the way down to the ground, bounce them, and you can combo from there. But the main event for Jeice is definitely quarter circle forward S, quarter circle back S, and that is either, if you want to be cute, it's the Caesar procedure, otherwise it's purple comet attack. And Burter and Jeice get together and just dominate the screen. So if you do quarter circle forward version, it'll come towards Ginyu, like the energy blast. And if you do the quarter circle back version, it'll basically emanate from Ginyu going forwards. Both are valuable, basically just need to know which one's appropriate for which situation. Now it is technically a weak key blast, yes, so the enemy can homing dash through it. But the thing is, it's out there for a long time. You can homing dash through it, then have your homing dash end and then get hit by it, or just otherwise get baited out. There's so many things. It's a very big move for screen control. It's fantastic. Also, quick note, if you do the quarter circle forward version, it will rip the enemy out of the corner on block. Meaning, hey, cross up time, right? Just so you know. Now on to Ginyu's signature, the body swap. So it is a level 3, it takes 3 bars, so it ain't coming cheap. But yeah, you steal a character. So hey, now I'm Goku, and the other person, oh, now they're Ginyu, right? So let's talk about it. So first up here, before anything else, let's talk about the downside, I guess you could say, for the enemy. So you take whatever health value they have, they get whatever health value you have, and ideally your Ginyu is not that high health, and their character is somewhat high health. But now, here's the thing. So the person who is now stuck as Ginyu, they don't get to do any Ginyu Force calls. You see, he kind of just grabs his throat. So none of that. No level 3 super, the new Season 3 level 3 super. All you can do is your shoulder and your level 1 Milky Cannon. That is it. You are playing a broken, dusted up version of the character, right? So they are definitely losing out big time because they get stuck with your broken ass old Ginyu. So now, on top of the body swap, if you hold the button down while you're doing it, he'll reach into his chest, hurt himself, just like the show, then body swap. So now you're making sure the enemy is getting a more damaged version of Ginyu. As you can see here, he definitely has less health to work around with. So when possible, it definitely behooves you when you're doing your setup to hold down that button, so you just give him even less of a chance to make a comeback. So how do we get to the body swap part now? Well, using the move by itself, it's slow. So don't just expect this to randomly do it unless you're messing around or it's just ultimate desperation, because you're rarely ever going to get it that way. And no, you can't use it with like other moves set up here. As you can see, you Super Saiyan Vegeta assist, went right through him. Say we got Majin Buu Fat Toss. Are they held in place? Yes. It still goes right through him. So that stuff doesn't work. You either have to hit it raw, which once again is rare, or you can hit off Guldo's Paralyze. That will work. So if Guldo paralyzes the enemy while they're stuck there in that state, yes, it will combo and you can body swap. So that is the main form of how you're going to be doing it. Now, how do you get to that point? So we showed the assist, those don't work, but what I can do is I can call Guldo during that assist. So okay, here we go. Here comes that assist. Guldo holds him in place. Now I can body swap, right? So it's all about using whatever situation you can get to call Guldo, then go for the body swap. Another quick body swapping note here. So the enemy is set to block everything. And just a note, if you do a bad guard cancel against Ginyu, guard canceling when you switch character out, right? You try to bop him on the head for pressuring you. Well, here's the thing. Ginyu can cancel it into his body swap. So if you do a bad guard cancel against Ginyu, he just took your character on you, just so you know. The enemy is set to guard everything, as you can see here. And due to the fact you're just stuck in the homing dash animation from the guard cancel, means he has plenty of time to set it up. And you look like a dang fool. Now, to mention Sparking Blast swaps, because they're a pretty big deal. And they're honestly the overall most reliable way to get a body swap. So you need Ginyu, or maybe not. We'll talk about that in a second. And you obviously, you need the Sparking Blast. So the idea is this. You do whatever combo, you spark, right? you want to keep it kind of short because, you know, you don't want to damage the goods, right? If I want to be Goku, I don't want to hurt Goku that bad. So I want to do a fairly small combo, and the Sparking Blast also helps because once I switch over, I retain the Sparking Blast and heal some of that damage over. But yeah, we do our very small combo here. Spark, call Guldo, and then we hold Vanish and appear on the other side. So we'll need at least 4 bars to get this set up because the held Vanish obviously takes 1 bar on top of the body swap itself. But yeah, after we hold Vanish, we immediately go for body swap, and it'll look something like this. So Guldo holds him in place, we hit our chest to do some extra damage, and we swap out. So you can turn any hit confirm, as long as you're not too high up in the air, into a body swap. You gotta use your Sparking Blast. It's a very precious resource, yes, but it's easy and it's effective. There's really no other way to put it. It's the best overall way to guarantee a body swap, and all you need is basically the Sparking Blast and the meter to do it, and any given hit situation can turn into a very easy body swap. So here on the other layer of this, we have UI Goku, and UI Goku has his basic Ki Blast, which gives enough time for us to tag out, so we can do something like this. So at that point, we tagged in Ginyu, get the hit, and all we do is we spark out, and we do the exact same setup. UI Goku is the point guy. Ginyu is not the person in play, and yet, in this example, if we get that straight hit with UI Goku, now all of a sudden, we just guaranteed the body swap from UI Goku going into Ginyu. So Ginyu never has to be the point character thanks to the sparking body swap setups to actually steal the character. So let's show that example. And hey, there you have it. So UI Goku is the one who started the combo, not Ginyu, but it ends in Ginyu doing the spark and then getting that body swap off, right? So there's a lot of characters where that's possible. All you need is just the ability to tag in the Ginyu in the middle of the combo and stay fairly low to the ground because you gotta summon Guldo on the ground. If you summon him in the air, everything kind of breaks. But and then there you have it. So Hero of the Hour, UI Goku can do whatever combo he wants. Go into that stand S, which causes the multiple hits. Tag in the Ginyu, spark, and then boom, you got your brand new character. Now to talk some notable normals here. First, I want to talk about Stand Heavy. That's this guy here. As it went through some pretty big changes in Season 3. One, it's a low. You see how he has to block low to do that versus like any other move we can stand block? So yeah, his standing heavy's a low, and that's very unique in this game. And if that was just that alone, it would still be pretty interesting, right? Because it still does all the usual stand heavy stuff. But you can hold it as well here. You can travel pretty far forward while holding it. As you can see here, I can basically cover the length of the screen. And also, in and of itself, without anything else, pretty cool. But here's the thing. While he is spinning, he blows through all basic Ki Blasts. Now, he won't be able to stop a Kamehameha or something like that, just so you know. But yeah, he has a very strong measure of defense while doing this. Similar to like a Broly or something like that, right? Where you just know, hey, while I'm spinning, you know, towards freedom forwards, well, I can rest assured I have some defensive properties as well, and you can't just toss a Ki Blast to shut me up while I'm doing it. So if you know someone's very big on spamming Ki Blasts, then hey, this absolutely can crush that stuff. And also, if you are so inclined, you can also go backwards with it. That's not as important other for style points, but still it is pretty interesting. Another normal one to talk about here, Stand M. So Stand M is just good. The thing that makes it good, 11 frames, so fast startup for medium, and the range. So you can see here, it hits from that round 1 fight position, right? But it hits even further back, as you can see here. So you can be like over here and still connect with the enemy. And that's a rare trait in this game. Most people do not have normals that can hit from that far away at all, right? So you can rest assured when you're both on the ground, you can just toss out that Stand M and just go, you know, into whatever you'd like from there. And it can reach. And a lot of people, like, they want to get forward, they want to rush in on you, but they can't necessarily challenge with a button from that distance, and yet you can. So keep in mind, just when basic spacing is a thing, Ginyu Stand M is a real hero, and it is really good. Also, just to note, the Humble Stand Light. So one thing about it, it's a 6-framer, which is good. That puts it in the fast category for lights. And his crouch light also 6-framer, just so you know. But the range on it is pretty substantial for a light. Most lights don't have range like this. They're usually quite a bit closer, like, you know, old Goku can't hit from this far away, and yet Ginyu totally can, right? So just another thing to keep in mind, Ginyu has a lot of buttons that can outrange people in a way you normally just wouldn't expect, right? Just people don't bring up the fact Ginyu has really big normals all the time, but yo, Ginyu has really big normals, so make use of that range. Now here's a handy little tidbit. So the Ginyu Force, when you give him a call, well, there's nothing there for you to remember which one's up except for your own memory, right? And sometimes our memories, even at the best of time, they're a little bit fallible. So whenever you get a KO with Ginyu, immediately just hit the S button, and what'll happen is this. He'll go for the call, and he'll shout out their name. So now he called Guldo. We know Guldo was up next. It didn't use him up. He's still up the bat here, as you can see. And yeah, really that simple. So whenever you knock a foe out, just hit the Ginyu Force call button, and he will give him a verbal shout out so you can remember, hey, now we know this person's up next to bat. So now let's talk Guldo into Recoome, which is basically the dream team. This is the setup you want a lot of the time on knockdown, and either combo wise you want to set up your rotation so your combo ends with Jeice, so by the time you land you're back on Guldo. Or in just general pressure, you always want to know you have Guldo up next, so you can set up Guldo and then go into Recoome. And let's show off the most basic example of this. Okay, I mean, like, this is the most basic combo example, right? Call Guldo, call Recoome. And there's a lot of layers happening here. One is this, it's a safe jump. So in this setup here, I am totally 100% able to block after calling Guldo. No fuss, no muss, as you can see there. And I even have enough time to block after I call Recoome. So just waking up and mashing Invisible Reversal is not going to work. And this is also going to be the case for a lot of level 3s as well. What if they're a smart cookie and they're just going to wake up and reflect? Well, doesn't really help out too much. Because yeah, you get to reflect Guldo, but Recoome is still set up, and you as Ginyu have long since recovered, and you can do whatever you want. So even the most basic example, say like something like this. Hey, where'd that reflect get you, right? Just got tossed. So it doesn't really matter, honestly, if the Guldo gets reflected. And as far as tech goes, if you up tech, front tech, back tech, whatever, Guldo is going to catch every permutation of that, so that's not going to work out that good for you. Also, in much the same way, if you want to reflect and then tag in, not going to work, as Ginyu has recovered. So there's not too much in the ways out of this specific setup. Same deal here, if you want to do stuff like delayed wake-ups, well, one, yeah, Guldo covers a lot of that. And also, once again, Ginyu gets to recover, and Recoome's behind him. So even if you were very tricky and managed to get in a very specific frame where you could like tap Ginyu or something while Recoome is still already called, and once again, hitting Ginyu does not get rid of the Ginyu Force. So anyways, just delay wake up also not too much of a thing. So basically it's a very easy setup in that, and once again, this is just a very basic example, and we'll cover more advanced ones later. Guldo into Recoome just deals with a lot, and you just kind of have to hold it. Now, here's where the core setup really matters. As we already established, it's kind of difficult to get out of, right? So, Guldo has a fair bit of block stun in of himself, and then we have Recoome as the backup. And from there, we can do a lot. Like, one, we can make it all true block string, right? So, after the Guldo call, we just keep attacking, and, you know, Bob's your uncle, it's that simple. We want to get a little more complex than that, right? But, so from here, we can go like, okay, I just did jab into my overhead, right? And if you didn't block that overhead, well, guess what? Recoome blast hits, full combo. Same deal here. You know, okay, jab into a low. If that low hit, then full combo. If I just went for the low raw, same deal. I could also go, say, low into the overhead. Either way, as long as one part of Recoome's beam hits, no matter how it works that you want to structure the high-low part of it, if one part of it hits, you get the full combo. And it's a pretty big combo. So as you can see there, you can get a really big chunk of change off that very, very simple setup. And with that shown, let's show how to get into that setup without Ginyu even being the main character up at bat. So for this part, we'll be calling it the DoubleLL setup. So Ginyu can go into the usual Guldo into Recoome stuff even when he's not the guy up on deck. And you can use a lot of supers from a lot of other characters to facilitate this. So first up here, let's use Dragon Ball Super Broly as our example. So the particular combo honestly doesn't matter as long as you just end with his Superman super at the end. So you can do something basic, something advanced, doesn't really matter. Call Ginyu before he connects, then he connects, and as you can see, pops the enemy up, and they fall down. From that point, you've already had control of Ginyu, and you can set up whatever you want. To show you how it works in practice here. Alright, we got our combo. We called Ginyu. And then we called Guldo and Recoome. And you might have noticed Guldo was behind Goku in that setup, right? Now, in a lot of ways, it doesn't change how things work. But in the way of wake-up level 3s or certain invincible reversals, since Guldo's behind the enemy instead of ahead of them, that means Guldo is very much protected, and certain level 3 setups just no longer work, as Guldo will hit them out of it when the invincibility runs out. So that is very key and very interesting. So that's just one example right there. Much the same here with the Kid Buu super, as we covered in a previous video, right? And also, because it takes him ever so slightly out of the corner, Guldo can set up behind the enemy, and it just makes everything a lot easier and a lot safer for you. And they are far from the only characters that can set it up, although people set it up in different ways. So let's use a Blue Goku example. So kind of the same idea. So yeah, the Ginyu level 1 unfortunately does not connect, but it still gives you Ginyu in time to summon Guldo and summon Recoome. And in that, hey, it's better Oki than Blue Goku himself would have got, considering he's so high up in the air, right? So sometimes you got to sacrifice a little meter, and works with base Vegeta much the same way. And yeah, so you can use other characters to set up Ginyu's very devastating pressure after a wake-up. Alright, rooflemonger channel. I'm going to cheat to find a way to put some Broly stuff in here, and that's exactly what we got. So while I was talking with DoubleLL making this video, we accidentally came up with maybe the most ridiculous body swap setup of all time. So you don't need to start with Ginyu at all. You start with Dragon Ball Super Broly. And turns out, not only do you get the body swap by the end of this, you don't even have to use your Sparking Blast, like as we covered earlier in the video. So the whole setup takes 6 bars. So maybe it's not the most practical, but you don't need a Sparking Blast to do it. So hey, let's show you how it works. So you do whatever combo with Dragon Ball Super Broly, it really doesn't matter. You go into his level 1. And after you do the level 1, let them just fall up in the air just a little bit before you call OG Broly. And from that point, we're going to immediately call Ginyu, and which will cause the old weird float state bug for Broly. Alright, now we immediately call Ginyu. And when you know, whoa, look how long it takes for them to just hit the ground and recover. From that, all we do after that setup is just take one step forward, don't dash. Just absolutely don't dash. Just one step forward, call your Far Guldo, and then immediately go into your body swap. And it'll look something like this. So right there, is that the most practical body swap setup of all time? Well, probably almost certainly not, but you know what? It works. So if you're playing Team Double Broly and you want to just really style on someone, there you go. A rooflemonger DoubleLL combo tech presentation, the Double Broly body swap. So let's show you how to get a safe jump off his new Season 3 Level 3 Super. It's actually pretty easy, so it won't be too difficult. All we have to do, jump up, dash forward, and land on their head with a heavy. So let's look how it works against invincible reversals. So first up here, when you're using the classic Vegeta move, right? So once again, all we're going to do here, just jump forward, dash, and boom. All there is to it. What about that pesky wake up final flash? Well, same deal. Nice and easy safe jump. Just jump forward, forward dash, and hey, there we go. We get the block in time. Now, the one thing to note about this setup specifically is don't dash forward at the exact peak of your jump. Get most of the way up there, then do it. And you'll still have plenty of time to land on their head and be safe and block on the ground if they did something invincible. If you go all the way to the peak of the jump, then dash forward, that can mess you up, and some invincible reversals will be able to smack you. So just keep it in mind. Do most of your jump all the way up, then forward dash, and then just hit heavy. And of course, if they're there to be hit, you'll hit them, block or not. And if they're invincible, you get to land on the ground safely and block in time. Now, let's talk about where Ginyu belongs on the team and just his general game plan. Now, where he belongs on the team, in my opinion, firmly should be the point character with a asterisk beside it. As the point character, Ginyu does the most Ginyu stuff, right? He has 2 assists to help him do whatever he's going to do, which is great because one of the main game plans is filling the screen with garbage, right? Getting the Ginyu Force out there and just having them do their magic and just being a nuisance while you're doing your own stuff and trying to crack the enemy open. So with the Ginyu Force being on screen and just filling everything up, having more assists puts even more garbage on the screen, and that's fantastic, and that's basically one of the game plans. Now, that said, if you were to run him as your secondary, your mid character, and you had a character that could easily set up a lot of stuff for Ginyu, be it something as basic as I use this guy to get Ginyu tagged in and then do my usual stuff from there, especially if you want to do sparking body swaps or something like that. Or I'm just whatever character, I do my combos and get my super, and at which point, as we went over with the DoubleLL setups, you do your super, then you call in Ginyu and you get your fantastic pressure, calling Guldo into Recoome and just going from there, right? So if you have a character who's there to help set Ginyu up, then in that regard, I could definitely see Ginyu as the mid, and whatever point character you have, I'm sure they're good at their own things as well. And when it's time to call in Ginyu to do his magic, all the better yet. Now that all said, Anchor Ginyu, I wouldn't recommend it. Ginyu without assists or being in a position of power where he can set up a lot of his stuff is not as ideal. It's certainly not the most wretched thing in the game, but definitely much better served as being the point character or being the mid with the point character helping to set him up. Now, as for the generalized game plan, well, it's really that simple. It's all about the Ginyu Force. Either getting your setups on a knockdown or just filling the screen with trash and trying to collect some stray hits and going from there. Not much more to it. Now, once again, as we went over earlier in the video, remind yourself that Ginyu can outrange a lot of people. Now, once again, this game's not Street Fighter. You're not going to be 2 feet on the ground all the time. But a lot of people talk about, oh, this moves so fast, so far range for what it is. And, Ginyu can really surprise a lot of people with his range. The range he can just get a stray hit from and just convert from. That's really good as well. On top of a lot of the more funnier gimmicks, once again, if people are spamming their ki blasts, if they're just going crazy, right? Old Captain Ginyu, you don't got to pay attention to a dang part of it and just spin towards freedom all day long. So against ki blast spammers, just keep that in mind. But besides that, it's a very fundamentals-based game. He's not really a heavy mix-up character per se. You're going to be definitely converting off a lot of stray hits in neutral, be it maybe Burter just hit him off one of his air transitions, or a stray hit off a purple combat attack, or whatever, right? There's going to be a lot of stray hit conversions, so you definitely got to keep your eye out for that, because once again, when you fill the screen with garbage, it's all about collecting off that thing. It could be something as simple as, hey, I'm going to jump up here, do this, call vanish, and then if that hits, even better yet, with Guldo specifically, you can call Guldo and vanish into his paralyze move, and you get a full combo conversion. Same deal here with Recoome. You can call Recoome, wait a split second, vanish, and then get a combo conversion from that. So a lot of calls into just a small delay into a vanish can both catch people off guard and also get you very, very big results. But the biggest thing, and this is going to be the hardest thing, flat out, to get a handle of them, is just you got to keep the rotation in mind and all the moving parts in mind. Ginyu is, simply put, just a much more difficult character than use the rest of the cast. Someone like Super Saiyan Vegeta, easy peasy, about as basic as it gets. And someone like Ginyu, no man, because you don't have control over who's up next, right? If you really wanted Burter for whatever screen control and you got Recoome up next, it's always going to be Recoome up next. You do have to work with what you're given. And sometimes, maybe, that isn't the ideal, but it is a skill you're going to have to learn to pick up when you are playing Captain Ginyu. But yeah, besides the weird jank and difficult to use stuff of the Ginyu Force, Ginyu is a very fundamentally solid character, and just basic fighting game knowledge will carry you pretty far. And with all that said, hey, we're now at the end of the guide. I do want to say thank you very much to DoubleLL for helping out with the video. If you want to check him out, check out the video description. All of his details and links will be there to check out. And with that said, Ginyu, very interesting character, but he's a very difficult character. There's a very good reason why he's basically the least played character in the game. He is not very popular, not because no one likes Ginyu. Everyone loves Ginyu. Ginyu is one of the coolest characters in Dragon Ball history, right? But to play him in this specific game, it is very difficult, unfortunately. So you can't just pop in, like if you learn Super Saiyan Vegeta, man, you learned half the cast right there, right? And we're learning Ginyu, it's not that case. No one else is going to teach you how to play Ginyu other than just playing Ginyu, so you just gotta get at it. And with that said, hopefully this video guide has helped you learn Ginyu and taken that first step forward. And other than that, my friends, that is the end of this video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well. Go out and play some Dragon Ball.